Coming out in June is one of Nintendo's first new franchises on Switch, the bizarre action puzzle game Sushi Striker, The Way of Sushido. It's an anime-inspired game involving a world where sushi is hard to find and people are out to destroy it for some reason or another. You control a budding sushi striker who journeys through the world, engaging in battles that involve eating a whole bunch of sushi and throwing plates at enemies in frantic combos. It's kinda nuts. But what's the story behind Sushi Striker? Where did it come from? Well, Nintendo so far hasn't been that forthcoming about the game's origins. We do know it was co-developed by indieszero, a familiar name to those circulating the Nintendo orbit for the past decade. The Japanese developer has been around for more than 20 years, and all of that has been linked to Nintendo. It all starts, naturally, with their origins. Masanobu Suzuki formed the company at the age of 24 in 1997, teaming up with developers that just emerged from the progenitor of what is now known as the Nintendo Game Seminar, a Japanese program where Nintendo works with students on small game projects. indieszero's first games were with Nintendo for the Nintendo Satellaview, that weird peripheral for the Super Famicom that let you download games online in the mid-90s, because of course Nintendo would be that far ahead of the curve. Their most notable project from that era was Suit Hakun, an action puzzle game that seems heavily inspired by Lode Runner. From there, the studio mostly flew under the radar for their first decade, until the outfit paired back up with Nintendo for Electroplankton, a weird Nintendo DS game that was more artwork than video game, and even showed up at GDC and E3 in 2005. indieszero worked with Toshio Iwai, an installation artist who had long experimented with the intersection of art and games. Electroplankton was primarily a musical toy on DS, making use of the system's features to make peculiar sounds and songs, using the microphone, the touchscreen, and everything. The game doesn't even have a save feature, primarily because the goal for the game was to be experienced, not won. The DS cartridge was released in North America and Europe in 2006, and then later split up into chunks for DSiWare in 2009. Aside from Electroplankton, indieszero stayed active on the DS, working with Marvelous on the first two Retro Game Challenge games, though the second one never made it out of Japan. They also made Personal Trainer Cooking, and continued working with Nintendo on weird app-like games as they helped with the Nintendo 3DS Guide Louvre project. Their ties to Nintendo came back in a big way around the Wii U's early days. Suzuki and Nintendo's Koichi Hayashida both were a part of the Nintendo Game Seminar back in the day. When Hayashida and a small team at EAD Tokyo were working on NES Remix and needed some more help to finish it up, he reached out to his old friend at indieszero, and then the studio came on board to help out. The series was a big success, spinning off into a full-fledged Wii U sequel, as well as a later 3DS release that mixed elements of both of the other games. Similar to NES Remix, indieszero was contacted by Square Enix to help out with a kernel of an idea. Square Enix's Ichiro Hazama wanted to make a Final Fantasy rhythm game on DS, but the system wasn't really up to the task. When the 3DS came along, Hazama pushed for the idea to be revisited, and soon enough, indieszero came on board to help make Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy. The game came out on 3DS in 2012, with a sequel, subtitled Curtain Call, coming out in 2014. Curtain Call is more or less the definitive Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy game, and it's absolutely fantastic. Check it out if you never did. It even has Chrono Trigger and Bravely Default DLC. Sadly, indieszero's third Theater Rhythm game, based on Dragon Quest, never made it out of Japan. After their time with Square Enix, indieszero came back to Nintendo. This time, not handling their classics, but trying to make their own classic, Sushi Striker, The Way of Sushido. It was revealed at E3 2017 as a 3DS game, and then in early 2018, it was announced that the game was hitting Switch as well. And now we're just a matter of weeks away from Sushi Striker coming out. We'll have to wait until we see the game's credits to see who exactly at Nintendo helped co-develop Sushi Striker with indieszero, but it's reasonable to guess that Suzuki paired up with his old friend Hayashida, again to make a fun game, just like they did back in their days as a part of the Nintendo Game Seminar. So that's all we kind of could dig up about indieszero. If you have any other points you would like to make, or if you want to judge my Japanese pronunciation, that I'll admit isn't really that great, feel free to leave comments below. Would love to know more about indieszero, but this is what we could find out as we wait for them to come out with Sushi Striker, a game that they made with Nintendo, which seems really neat and cool, and we hope it's fun. So please like and subscribe, and support us on stuff like Patreon. And then we'll keep on making more content like this. We're going to try to do more Know Your Developers videos, and we can only really do that if we get a lot of support. So watch this, share this, do all that jazz, and hopefully we'll be talking more about obscure video game developers real soon. Bye.